Welcome to the Mesonet Weather Report. I'm Wes Lee. One of the best ways to determine weather changes is to compare it to a long-term average. This long-term average is for a certain defined period of time. In the case of the National Weather Service, it is the past 3 decades. These averages, which change only once every 10 years, adjusted earlier this week. The new 30-year average will be 1991 to 2020. The decade of 81 to 90 now drops off of the long-term average maps. You can see here that this will mean an increase in long-term average temperatures for most locations, including Oklahoma, about a 1 degree Fahrenheit increase. Here you can see why this occurred using this 125-year graph. The decade of the 80s drops off and the most recent decade is added. You can see the one dropped off was much cooler than the one added. You will notice this change on all new climate maps, like on this Days Above 90 Degrees map. When it is revised, it will be for the new 30-year time frame. At Mesonet, we utilize the past 15 years instead for long-term averages, as seen here on this average temperature for May map. These change yearly at the beginning of each new year. Gary is up next, showing the latest drought map for the state.
Thanks, Wes, and good morning, everyone. Well, no matter what normals we compare it to, the rainfall situation across northwestern Oklahoma is not looking good. Let's take a look at that newest drought monitor map and then the last 30 days of rainfall. Well, the first thing we notice is that in south central Oklahoma, we did have some improvements. We got rid of a lot of that moderate drought and some of the abnormally dry conditions from down in that region. We still have the large area of abnormally dry conditions and drought across the western half of the state. So we did prevent a little bit more drought from appearing with that rain that did fall this past week. But across western Oklahoma, if we don't get rainfall soon, we're going to see that drought start to expand quite rapidly. Let's take that 30-day rainfall map from the Mesonet. As you can see, the northwestern quarter or so of the state, generally less than an inch of rainfall. Then we go from 1 to 3 inches as we get into the I-44 corridor area. And then southeast of that, we have 4 to 10 inches of rainfall. So lots of generous rains there. Really no worries about drought much anymore, except down in just a little bit of a section there in south central Oklahoma, when in southeastern Oklahoma that had about 5 inches of rainfall, 2 to 5 inches of rainfall in a small area. That's where we see that remaining drought down there. We can further emphasize that problem out in far western Oklahoma with the consecutive days with less than a 1/4 inch of rainfall. We're now over 40 days for much of that region, also the far western panhandle. But even those cases where we did get greater than a 1/4 inch of rain in a day, it's not really much more than that, as we saw from the 30-day rainfall map. So any day now, it's liable to warm up and stay warm. Usually we see that by that first week or two of May, but a little bit slow coming this time. But eventually it'll happen, and we'll be complaining about summer. But we do need rainfall, that's for sure. That's it for this time. We'll see you next time on the Mesonet Weather Report.